projects, etc.?
Sure. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
My name is Amarjit Kumar. I am having 7+ years of experience. Currently, I'm working for the Java development. So the technology which I use, like Java with the Spring Boot microservice, a Spring Cloud component as a backend. Front end, I have some Angular. Also, I have a good experience in AWS Cloud Services. Coming for the database, I have good experience in SQL and NoSQL as a Mongo, and all the DevOps tools I worked as a while I'm developing any applications for that which is required, like Apache, Maven, Jenkins, Jira, GitHub, ELK, Splunk and all. So these all are the technology stack which I have in my bucket. Coming for the domain,
Uh,
I worked on the different domain like banking, telecom, e-commerce, health insurance. Currently, which I am working, that is based on the health insurance. So there, we are doing customization implementation based on the client requirement. So based on microservices, Spring Boot. So my role and responsibility here, like this is a project overview, is nothing but it's a portal where we need to provide a customer to come in the portal and take whatever insurance he want. He can take either any term life and any other type of insurance if he want. He once he will take in the insurance, then we have a create a order. So order will be processed, and after that, once the order will be created by the customer, we need to process the order. So while processing, we need to check what are the slot is available for which store is nearby. Their customer has initiated the order, and after that we will calculate the payment according to the state and all. And once payment will be calculated, then we'll check if customer will have any promo code which is applied for that customer, so they can take redemption amounts and all. After that we will have
so,
notifications.
Amajit, sorry to interrupt. Which product are you referring to? Is it an insurance product
Yeah, insurance project.
okay. And who's the client here? Are you working for Synchron or the client itself is okay? The
Trans.
Transamerica. Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, okay,
So
okay,
that type of
okay.
things
All right.
we, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that type of things we need to manage. After that we'll have our notifications and all. So this all will happen through the backend. So we
Mm.
need a microservices
Is
development.
this only health insurance or anything else?
Only health insurance is there right now, which I am
Mm.
working. Apart from this, we have a multiple modules related for health one.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
so this is a product overview, like which I am working. So my role and
Mm.
responsibility here, like we are following agile. So based on the agile, whatever the sprint will be defined, we need to track on the Jira, which will be assigned for the task, and develop the microservices. Apart from this, we'll have also some REST template call will be there for the third party. So we need to expose some third party applications accesses and all. So for that we use REST template or Kafka, depends on the requirement, as a synchronized calls and all. And also like while we are developing any applications, so that we'll have a development. So that development, and after that staging while deployment will happen. So once it will go for the production deployment, we need to stay on call, like whatever the changes we have done, or just for the clarifications we have to check before the production deployment. So what are the configuration changes, what are the all changes file, what are the input, what expected output need to become, all the jars related things we have to verify. Once this all will be happen, like security validations and all the logs proper enabled or not, like that. So we need to stay on call, and once this will be deployed on the productions, then we have to check all those requests and all is fine or not. If anything will be there, then we'll have some hot fix deployments and all will happen. So that type of work we are doing on daily basis.
Okay. Okay. Great. Yeah. Thanks for that. So the tech stack that you mentioned is Java 8 and other stuff, right?
Yeah,
Which you have used part of your application. Okay.
correct.
Just wanted to start from there, Marjit.
Sure.
Can you give or share the features that are newly introduced in Java 8, and what is that you have used, if you can share with some use cases, please?
Sure. Java 8 have multiple features like Lambda expressions, functional interface, datetime API, optional, and Java NESROM, JavaScript notations. These all
Mm.
are there, method reference and all. But mostly which I use, Stream API, Lambda expressions, optional, datetime API, which I am using frequently in applications.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay. So earlier to Java 8, we used to call it as object-oriented programming, right?
yes,
It's OOP
yeah, oops,
versus what we have in Java 8 is a functional programming, right? So what
correct.
is the difference between these two? When it comes to the implementation particularly, I don't need the theoretical knowledge, but
Correct.
I want the practical knowledge of what is the real difference of having object-oriented programming versus the functional programming.
Yeah, object-oriented programming, we need to declare the classes. Inside that classes, we'll have a variable, method declarations, method return types, and all, right? In
Mm,
object-oriented frame. But in functional, if you have a functional-based programming, then instead
mm,
of that method name, you can remove, you can not remove, you can remove the return types and all. Directly, what type of method which is required and how you are
mm.
implementing. So based on the lambda expressions and multiple inbuilt method is there in the Java 8, through that we can implement the code. So that code of line of code will be sorted and executions will be faster compared to that.
Okay, okay,
So this is the main
okay.
difference. Instead of that, apart from this, we have a multiple inbuilt.
So you mean there are no objects for these functional interfaces at all?
Yeah, yeah, it's there. But suppose you have mentioned the classes inside, we have a multiple huge amount of methods are there. So for that method,
Uh-huh.
you are mentioning like public, static, void, main, and then all. So whatever the access specifier is there, whatever the names, declarations, return types, argument type, so that you can that you can release from this Java 8. No need to do if you are using lambda expressions, functional interface, and HTML API operations. So that
So with that, what we are achieving, what is that simplicity that they brought in?
yeah, lambda expressions will based on the lambda expressions will code executions will be faster, and executions and line of code will be like less. Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amajit.
Yes, I think there was some network issue.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is the main difference, and instead that we have a Steam API, so a Steam API will have a multiple inbuilt method which
No, my question was, Amajit, so what is that simplicity they brought in uh, when we say that when between again this object and functional programming way, right? You have explained the differences of these two. What is that simplified part of it when we are writing the programs now?
what is the simplified methods and all will be simplified method
The way you're writing the code in Java 8, right? I'm not really talking about lambdas or etc. Rather, you're writing a functional interface versus you're writing a class. What is that you observed? What has changed really?
class we need to declare all this in function interface only we can mention that all the uh, like uh,
Yeah.
single abstract method which will be available, and default and static we can use there.
Mhm. So how did you use streams, Amarjit?
Streams, sorry. Hello. Hello, I think you are in mute. Hello. 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 Hello.
Hey, Amarjit.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, sincere apologies, man. I got a important call, so I
Okay.
need to take it up. Yep. All right. Yeah, I was talking about streams. How did you use streams part of your implementation, Amarjit? If you can explain with some use case.
Yeah, streams mostly I use like suppose if I want like a list of employee who are applicable for the promo code, who has done the transactions of more than 10,000 and all. So that type of
Mm.
conditions we used a stream.
Mm-hmm.
Many where we used like a promo code applications applied for the customer notifications.
Okay. Okay. Any one example, please? I wanted to understand the use case, real use case.
Mm-hmm.
How did you use it?
Yeah, mostly we process a huge amount of data which is there. We need to send the alert or maybe some notification to the customer once he will
Mm.
logged in with the registered mobile number. So
Mm.
he will get once users has done the transaction of more than 10,000 in a particular month. So they will get
Okay.
some 200 rupees discount if he will purchase or he will redeem the
Mm-hmm.
renew the premium, right?
Okay.
So we will fetch the detail from the database and then we have to use the stream. So we will check all the list of the employee who all are available there in the particular database or maybe
Mm.
and then whose transactions like total amount purchase amount is more than 10,000 and the date
Mm.
of the particular date of a specific date of range, then
Mm.
users will get this alert of this redeemed.
How do they get the alert? Is it a email or SMS notification? What is that?
No, once users will be logged in the particular applications,
Huh.
so that they will show this type of features, like you will get a offers discount for this amount of that.
Correct. I mean, you're saying that you're notifying the customers, right? How are you notifying the customers?
Notifying the customer through email mostly and also
Correct.
website also.
That is what I was asking.
Yeah.
Okay. So how is this email communication happen?
Email communications will happen through the notifications of SMS notifications which will be configured of AWS cloud services.
What is the service that you're using for it?
SMS, sorry, SN,
SMS.
yeah, simple mailing notification.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, how did you handle exceptions, Samarjit?
Exception mostly will handle depends on the requirement. So we used exceptions. Suppose will exception handler advice in the Spring Boot. So what are the common exceptions will be there? We have to create a advice controller advice. There we have to handle all the exceptions like 4 not 500 and others exceptions which is required like a custom exceptions and all that we have to create and there we have to mention. So whatever the repetitions of all the exceptions directly instead of that we need to create same repetition of the line of code. We have to call this particular exception handler class and that will be
How do you create if you have to create on your own?
exception, right? Sorry,
Correct.
yeah. So we can create a common like a
And ensuring that uh, the exception hierarchy is followed.
yeah, yeah, that is correct. Yeah, hierarchy also. So better you have to create your custom exception like promo code is not applicable like this type of exceptions if users has trying before after the expiry date. So we have to create the class name and then in that we have to extend the exception class and inside that we have a create a constructor with the class name. There we have to invoke the super method.
Okay.
Like that we can create a custom exception and if required we can access or use this custom exception.
Okay. Okay.
Apart,
Any critical scenarios that you go
yeah,
ahead?
yeah. Apart from this, like we have a simple try catch throws like that. We can
Hmm.
also we can do depends on the requirement and critical solution which one.
Okay. So any critical solution that you yourself have provided part of this implementation for this insurance application?
regarding or anything or particular exception.
Yeah, yeah. Part, no, not only exception, any critical scenario, any critical use case that you are part of, that you implemented.
Mhm. Use cases. Yeah, many where we have like for the report generation, we have used some of the implementations. So
Mm.
users can download the reports for the particular. There was already many options was there, but depends on the customer requirement. We need to do some quarterly financial year reports generations and all. So we have like users can get financial like 2021 to 2022 all the reports he want, how many transactions he has done, and what are the purchase or some others things he's happened, discounts and all. So these things he want all the need information for the last financial year. So users
Mm.
need have a options. So how we will implement for that, I have done this type of implementation of use cases with the multiple requirement. So we have a UI there, we have a create a
Is it
page.
a report that you're referring to, Amarjit?
Report generations I also modified. Yeah.
Mm.
So for that JRXMLs and all we used and Jexus and all library. According
Mm.
to that we need to generate the report. So how we will generate? Create applications there. Once users will invoke the particular applications, so that data will be fetched from the database and
Mm.
uh, for the specific time of range, and then that will be read the request, and that whatever the data is coming according to that we'll have a UI there. We have options. If users want to create a
Mm.
PDF, XML, or maybe some word file, so we have a invert converter is there. So through the converter we can convert the data and then we will process, so that there will be some mapping classes that will map the data. If users want as a JSON, then we have a whatever the data is coming from the database, we have to create the database as a JSON through the mappers, and then users will get as a PDF, Word, JSONs and all like that. So these type of implementations either others like promo
You use
operations.
Kafka here, part of this implementation, right? How did you use Kafka and what is the role of Kafka here?
Kafka in this applications I told like many multiple microservices we used. So order
Mm.
microservice is the main microservice, like is a master microservices. Once users will create any order, like if users is initiating any type of insurance and all, so order will be created. So order microservices will have a huge amount of data which will be coming. After the data will come, then all the respective microservice need to check the according to the based on the order ID. So once order ID will be generated from the order microservice, then they have to check the particular store. They need to do the premium of amount of payment. They have to do some promo code discount. They have to do some notification. They need to create a schedulers and all. So all the respective microservice need a order ID. Based on that, he want to perform the operation, and according to that they will send the request and response. They will get the request and send the response. So what will happen, like we need to here as a synchronous communications. So in Kafka will come in these pictures. If you will do the REST template, then at a time only one users will be only one microservice will perform the operation, but immediately all the microservice need to work parallelly. So here we used Kafka as a asynchronous communication. So Kafka will create a cluster. Their cluster we will push the data from the order microservice. So order microservice will have a producer class. So that producer class, based on the Kafka template, he will get the data and they have to push the data to the Kafka cluster. Other respective microservice which is need to required to call or get the Kafka like order ID. Instead of order microservices call directly, they will connect to the Kafka server. So Kafka server will come in these pictures and they will take the and, details from there. So they have to create a consumer class. So we'll have a order, consumer, process, producers will be there. Based on the topic, he will create the data and
How many messages that you used to receive part of this producer consumer concept, Amarjit, per day approximately in production?
in productions mostly I will have More than lakhs of their data is there, because depends on the different reason that data is coming. So more than
Hmm.
lakhs data is coming. So that.
So help me understand one scenario, Amarjit. Okay, today I'm getting some 100 order IDs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and my cluster is having multiple brokers and
Correct.
multiple partitions accordingly. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and tomorrow that 100 has become 1,000, and day after tomorrow it has become 10,000, and it is exponentially growing now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How can I design a system or my cluster in such a way that it should work seamlessly for a lower volume of data as well as for higher volume of data?
Yeah.
How do we need to design that?
Yeah, for that we need to do some load balances, like depends on the load, like whatever the load factor is there, according to that, that will be a scale up and a scale out will happen. So while we are configuring in Kafka, we have a Spring Boot also, these features are there, and if you are using any cloud, there also will have a feature. So by using three way we can do, one is application based, other is a service based, like a cloud infrastructure based also we can do. And if you want there in Kafka level, then Kafka will have a configuration
No,
class.
I'm talking about Kafka only.
Mhm.
How can this cluster environment that you have
Mhm.
can help us in getting it to which can auto scale auto on its own instead of me doing something manually,
Yeah, so we have to
right?
put,
You see my
we have,
point?
yeah, understand.
Hmm.
So we have to
Hmm.
enable auto scaling there in while we are writing the
Where?
Kafka application.yaml file will be there. There we need to mention all the Kafka, like what are the Kafka topic name, Kafka template,
What is the property
this
name?
application.yaml,
Property
application.yaml file.
name I'm talking about. What is that property that you said that we need to write in application at properties?
Yeah, so there we'll have a Kafka inside that auto scale listener. Auto scale enable as a true we can mention.
Okay. Do we have any such auto scale proof in that?
There we are mentioning like replications, key sets, and chunk topic.
Okay. How can we achieve the replication when I'm designing a cluster?
Mhm.
I have few messages coming from US region. I have few messages coming from Europe region, right?
Yeah,
How can I make sure that these messages are going into that respective environment only so that my consumers can access the data quick and fast?
yeah. So for that, we'll have some unique ID will be there.
Mm.
So that based on the unique ID, like users will be fetch the detail based on the topic name. So what will be the topic name ID?
Uh, no, I'm talking about the same architecture of Kafka for
Mhm.
multiple locations,
Mhm.
right? For example, I'm in Hyderabad, you're in your city.
Mhm.
All the messages that are coming from my city should go into those brokers and to those partitions, etc. Since I'm close to it,
Mhm.
and the messages from your side. Let's take Airtel as an example. Okay, Airtel or Jio, whatever it is. So they are spreaded across India, right? And they must be sending a lot of messages to all the people. Like there is an offer, you want to subscribe, etc., etc. Right? In that context, a person or a network or a message sitting on the other side of it, the northern side of India, reaching a person in southern side of India will be a little tough, right? Rather, if I have a server here close by, that will be easy for me.
Yeah.
So how can I replicate this setup across India so that when they send a message, it will go into the respective instance?
Mhm.
Do you understand the question?
Yeah, understand this.
Similar to your AWS, okay, you're familiar with AWS, right? We have locations, we have regions, correct? We
Mm-hmm.
have one in Mumbai, we have one in Hyderabad. So you being close to Mumbai, probably you select that as your preferred region. Why? Because it is close to you. You have net. You'll not have any network latency, etc. Correct. And similarly, now that we have one in Hyderabad, I can select this. Correct. So when it comes to Kafka messaging, how can I achieve this geolocation?
Yeah, that also will be there in this configuration level will have a min dot async replicas, and there we have to mention how many type of replicas it is required.
Okay. Okay.
Mostly I use
Yeah. Yeah.
Kafka, which is used for this. Like
Sorry.
mostly I use the Kafka, which is used to produce the huge amount of data for the master services, microservices, and
Hmm.
distributed with all the respective services, and they
Hmm.
will get the communicated each others.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. But at the end, it has to be geolocated too, right?
Mhm.
It should exist across the geolocation so that it will be easy to cater the messages also. It will help the consumers and the producers. Of course, both the parties, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any experience in any of the NoSQL databases, Majid?
Mongo I use.
Cassandra, Mongo. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. MongoDB you have used part of your current application?
Yeah, current also and other applications also I used.
Hmm. Very good. So, what is the difference that you found again between this NoSQL versus traditional RDBMS systems?
The main difference which I have seen, if you want some of the transactions logic or business transaction related things, then you can go for the relational database. So they will handle all the transactions annotations, and the acid operations will be carefully through that. And if you want some non-business requirement related things like promo code information or maybe some batch scheduler and other information, then you can go for the NoSQL database. NoSQL will work on the JSON based object notation, so the executions and all will be the fastest. Easily we can write the code. And
Only JSON?
no, any type of format is required, but mostly
Uh,
which will be taken care through the JSON only. But if you want, any type of format will be applicable, and
hmm.
processing and all will be faster through the NoSQL. So, right, and also is a like open source and all.
Can you explain what is CAP theorem and how is that related to NoSQL?
We are in microservice or
In NoSQL,
okay.
uh, so we have a theorem, right?
Yes, yes.
CAP,
Mhm.
or you call it as CAP, whatever people call it as.
Yes.
So what is it and how is that related to NoSQL?
It's used for check the consistency while we are writing a database, then that will be process the record or maybe process the queries and all. So how much consistency with the particular details and availability, and then partitions partitions tolerance and all, so that will be there through the CAPS theorem.
So, okay, okay. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, Marjit, I think I'm good. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Yeah, for which client you are hiring, and
This is for a financial domain again, and you, since you're already working for Synchron, it'll be easy for us. That's why I picked up your profile, Marjit.
Mhm, mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
So mostly will be insurance, banking domain and all.
Mostly banking. I
Okay.
don't really say it as insurance, and I've been asked not to share the name, so hence I'm
Uh-huh.
saying
Sure,
financial
sure.
client. Yep,
Yeah, I
yep,
understand. Yeah.
yep. Mm,
Sure.
mm.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah. All right, sir. Good talking to you. Thanks.
Yeah.
All the
Thank
best.
you. Yeah. Thank you.